should work now. I went through echo earlier. No, it should work.
Okay. So we'll review the notes about this meeting and our working agreements. Next slide. So first notes about this meeting. As usual, it's being recorded by Zoom and we post it online for transparency. As a commissioner, please make sure your Zoom name reflects your title. Please raise your hand through Zoom to speak as usual and a facilitator will call on you. Please state your name every time you speak. And for public comment, individuals will be called on by the facilitator and all materials can be found on this meeting's event page. And as always, be sure to ask Wayne Grabowski for any tech help. Thank you. Next slide. Can I have a commissioner volunteer to read the bold sections aloud? Commissioner Carla.
Okay. Speak with clarity and focus. Wait, why am I talking? Assume good intentions, but intend to impact. Be willing to make mistakes and be forgiving of those who do. Allow for and appreciate disagreement of opinions, ideas, methods respectfully. Build on other people's idea. We value participation both in person and virtual.
Thank you, Commissioner Carla. Next slide. So we don't actually have any public comment for today, unfortunately. Next slide. So now we're going to go into commission updates, and I'd like to now pass it to Co-Chair Jose.
Thank you. We have a few commission updates, as always. First, I'd like to invite Chief Sustainability Officer Vivian Satterfield to give us her CSO report, and then I'll facilitate any questions or discussion after that.
Thank you, Co-Chair Jose. I have a number of updates for you this evening. First, I want to acknowledge that the mayor and city administrator did offer a response to the commission letter that was submitted to the mayor, city administrator, and city council. That letter is in your inboxes. So I'm going to call your attention to that and to the resources of 2 full-time equivalent staff to support the climate action plan development that was included in the mayor's proposed budget. I think, yes, let's take a moment actually to celebrate that. I know that the advocacy of this commission requested more than that. Thank you again for your concerted advocacy, the putting heart and effort behind it and understanding how dynamic the city's budget process can be, which I'm going to share a bit more about. But for now, thank you. This is very significant, and in a time in which the city's experiencing a great deal of constraint and a great deal of cuts that are impactful both to individuals and to programs, this was significant. So the full letter, again, is in your inboxes. I do encourage you to read it. And then just sort of broadly want to give you some awareness around the public-facing budget hearings, which concluded last night around 9:30. So thanks in advance for your grace. It's been a long few days for those of us who work here at the city. And I'm not going to recap everything that happened because there's a lot of in and outs. And if you wish to see any of the recap, there's some really great reporting that's been done on our local news outlets that you can read around the details. What I am going to just go ahead and lift up is just sort of some high-level things. Councilors considered more than 40 amendments to the mayor's proposed budget, and there was a lot of 6-6 failed amendments. As a result. So while the mayor's proposed budget included impacts to climate and sustainability work in some discrete areas, for example, the Bureau of Planning Sustainability had a number of proposed cuts. Climate Teen, the Bureau of Transportation also had a discrete bit that was also proposed to be cut. And then there's lots of continued work on addressing tree canopy investments, maintenance and compliance wholesale. I can say that in the immediacy sort of analysis that I can offer around what transpired over the last 3 days, I do not see a substantive increase in climate investments citywide. So that kind of puts an additional emphasis on the win that we did get in securing some resources to help support the commission's work on developing the next climate action plan. Just to give you a sense of kind of what happens now. So the budget now goes to another body for legal review to make sure everything is buttoned up on that. And then council can still make further adjustments to the approved budget after that, just so long as the change to any individual fund does not exceed 10%. So these are really small, minor adjustments that still can be made. And then in June, the council will formally adopt the budget. It's June 10th specifically for the first reading, June 17th for an adoption vote, so that it can take effect on the next fiscal year for the city, which is July 1st. July 1st is when I expect the resources if it does continue to be approved through all of those processes, which again, I have a high confidence, then those resources will be available to the Sustainability Office to start beginning the work of finding the humans who can help support this really important climate action plan development work. So I'm gonna go ahead and kind of close that portion of talking about the budget. I feel like it's taken a lot of brain space, a lot of certainly media airtime talking about it, but I just wanted to give you a perspective on what I was seeing citywide when it came to climate investments wholesale. What I am excited to talk about, though, is what pertains to the Sustainability and Climate Commission. Council proceedings for the confirmation of our next youth cohort. I can't believe how quickly a year goes by because we're already talking about our next youth cohort. It's going to be at the Committee of the Whole on May 28th, and then at full council on June 3rd. Elaine will be sure to go ahead and send those dates to you and those meeting links so that you can join in our high five emails. So truly thank the incoming, youth commissioners who are, watching online, who are tracking this process. I know it's a lot. It can feel maybe like a really big task, but I'm so grateful that they're up for it. And I want to give appreciation to, of course, Elaine and then our colleague Harmony Dashiell for running another successful process on recruiting. Harmony is the Bureau of Planning Sustainability's Equity and Engagement Manager and has supported the Commission's work in a variety of ways. So I'm so grateful. Thank you so much. When I passed along the recommendations that had gone through a robust process from staff, I reviewed them, compiled them, and sent them to the mayor. He sent me a personal note, and I'm going to quote exactly what he wrote me because I think you all need to hear it. These are some powerhouse recommendations. Nice job. So I agree, and I want to pass along those compliments to Elaine and Harmony. So that concludes my updates for today.
Thank you, Vivian. Again, Jose Camargo Georgian, co-chair. Did anyone have any questions or anything?
Is this on? Yeah, it's Commissioner Greg Racinas, District 2. Not to make you revisit yesterday's fun, but Vivian, during the amendment process, was there any substantive discussion about climate or sustainability or budgeting or needs for more or less, or the city administrator's recommendations at any point?
Thanks for the question, Commissioner Greg. No, I did not hear any conversation that was specifically about the commission's work, the purview that we all have. There was a substantive amendments that was about tree canopy, and I think in that way, there were comments and acknowledgement that, continuing to invest in nature-based solutions and the importance of that in a changing climate. That's the one area that I really heard that. And then also in addressing conversations around those who are currently unhoused on Portland streets and how they experience climate change disproportionately. Those are the two general areas that I saw climate being discussed within the budget context.
Commissioner Stephanie?
Commissioner Stephanie, District 3, she, her comment, pronouns. Again, not to make you rehash any of this, but you said you saw no significant new climate investment. So are there serious gaps in what is being cut from PBOT or Bureau of Sustainability that we need to worry about? And also, what areas do you think your two new staff people will focus on?
Yeah, thanks for the question, Commissioner Stephanie. I see that I don't want to minimize the amount of cuts that are impacting bureaus. Of course, when we talk about cuts, these are people. These are our colleagues. These are staff members. These are people who do great work and who carry a lot of institutional knowledge especially. But given the enormity of the budget gap that the city was facing this year and the challenge that the mayor had in his proposed budget, these were relatively minor in comparison to other cuts that were made. Again, I don't want to minimize it, but that's kind of how it transpired. And so the decision package that allocated the resources for 2 full-time equivalent staff to the Sustainability Commission is explicitly to work on the climate action plan work alongside all of you and to help fulfill and address the recommendations that came out of the climate justice audit. So while there are a great deal of needs that the Sustainability Office has in regards to the overarching work plan that we conduct and that comes out of this office, the resources were allocated to support the climate action plan development. So those people will be known to you because they will be intimately involved in working alongside you on the climate action plan.
Commissioner Suze?
Oh, yep, okay. Yeah, Commissioner Sue Ware, I thank you so much for this update. And it's great to hear about the 2 new positions. I wanted to ask about the roughly 26 million that was diverted from PSEF towards general fund work. I believe it was from like the interest accumulated from PSEF dollars. I'm wondering whether we have any kind of stance on sharing some kind of comment related to protecting PSEF in the future, or what, I guess, whether we might have shared concerns that might happen again in the future, and how we might protect that.
I appreciate you bringing that up, Commissioner Suze, especially because we've got not only Sustainability and Climate Commission, but also the Portland Clean Energy Funds Committee, which stewards a great deal of our climate action work here at the city. And this actually, your question makes me think that one of the powers and duties that the commission here has is to be able to hold joint meetings. And we have, again, because this commission has just started its work, there are some things that we have together, not quite yet done, that that you have the power to. And so holding a joint meeting, joint communications, I can foresee that as something, if you all wish, we could help arrange.
Thank you. Anyone else? Perfect. Thanks so much. Thank you also, Chief Sustainability Officer Vivian. We also had a leadership meeting recently, as always, and we just continue to collaborate, Co-Chair Issa and I, to look forward and do the future agendas. In our June meeting, for instance, we want to take a vote to see if we could extend that agenda for half an hour. There are a lot of things to do at that meeting. We're gonna need to do ice breaking and meet all the youth commissioners, and then do a new election of co-chairs. And then we're gonna have a briefing on our CAP work plan. So we started doing the math, and the math wasn't mathing, so we wanted to see if we would be willing to extend that meeting and announce it as a half hour longer than usual. Does anyone have any questions or comments about that before we go to a vote? Okay, see none. Do we have a motion to do that? Oh, wait, Commissioner Carla?
Commissioner Carla Sheeher, I was wondering, would that be earlier or later half hour? Starts earlier or?
Later, correct? Yes, later. We stay a half an hour later.
Thank you.
Good question. No other questions? Does anyone have a motion? Commissioner Stephanie?
Commissioner Stephanie, I'll do this motion for us that we agree to meet for an extra half an hour in the June meeting to welcome our new people and to cover all the business our co-chairs are bringing to us.
So Commissioner Stephanie?
Second.
Thank you. Commissioner Stephanie moved that we extend the meeting by half an hour, seconded by Commissioner Greg. I'll call the vote. Don't have the attendance in front of me, so can't see everyone on Zoom. So if I call someone that's not here, I apologize, because I can't see everyone at once. Commissioner Lena?
Yes. Or wait, Yes, okay.
You could also do stand aside if, like always, we can do yes, stand aside or no. Commissioner Angus is not here. Commissioner Celeste,
Yes.
thank you. Commissioner Carla,
Yes.
Commissioner Charity. Not here. Commissioner Damon. Here. Commissioner Dan,
Yes.
thank you. Commissioner Dana,
Yes.
thank you. Co-chair Issa,
Yes.
thank you. Commissioner Galen. Commissioner Greg,
Yes.
Commissioner Jessica,
Yes.
Commissioner Leah,
Yes.
Commissioner Luna,
Yes.
Commissioner Maya, Commissioner Nora, Commissioner Stephanie,
Yes.
Commissioner Suze,
Yes.
Commissioner Vivek. Here, and I also vote yes. So with everyone who voted voting yes, this passes. Thank you. So next month's meeting will be half an hour longer to get all our work done. So let's get it actually done with an extra half an hour. For the Policy and Implementation Committee, we did receive a briefing from the CSO on the priorities and the status way forward within the city. And we discussed committee priorities and how they tie in with that. At our next meeting, we're gonna have more analysis from subject matter experts from across the city to facilitate the committee's top 3 policy or action recommendations to the CSO. And then CSO Vivian will then decide the first body of work really in setting our agenda. And the CSO will meet with the co-chairs Vivek and Charity. I think I might be there as well because I think Bush and Charity might be out for a little bit to help set that agenda. So if you have any questions about that, please feel free to send them over to us. But general topics we're gonna cover that we talked about in the meeting were energy strategy, heat resilience and adaptation, transportation, and building decarbonization. Because those are such little topics. So, but we will continue to hammer on that. Next slide, please. Now the bylaws committee is bringing their amended bylaws draft to the full commission to consider for adoption. Next slide. So now we're going to adopt the bylaws, hopefully. So next slide. So this is just a reminder of how we do this process. We'll share our amendments in the chat, raise the Zoom hand to discuss, and then we'll vote to adopt the amendments. Does anyone have any questions about this process? Okay. And when can you share your screen of the all-up draft, please? And Elaine, share the view link, the chat as well, which I see was done. Perfect. There's a lot of screens for me to keep track of on my little laptop, so please bear with me, but I'll facilitate discussion with any further amendment comments, etc., and we'll go for a vote. Does anyone have anything particularly they have questions about or updates to this? You should have received this as well before this meeting. And we did do extensive work on this in committee. We went back and forth a lot. Special thanks to all the community members who were there. Commissioner Maya, who's not here too, because did a lot of work to help get these to where they are now. Commissioner Stephanie?
I raised issues, I think you could see in two sections, and I thought I'm not sure how you want to, are you going to go section by section to vote on this? Or are you trying to vote on the entire package or? How?
If there are questions of the specific sections, we can go section by section. That might be easier. This section that you have questions about, I
I
can't
think
see-
is,
Oh, there we go.
well, I can't see
Three.
it quite. 3D and,
And then
yeah,
4
and 5,
and 5.
yeah, leadership.
Okay. So are there any questions about section 1, which is one sentence? So no questions on section 1. We're gonna move it on. We'll vote on it as part of a package, the ones that are easy. Section 2, frequency of meetings. I didn't see any questions about that there, but do we have any other questions for section 2? No, perfect. Then question 3 is where we had the first set of questions. So Commissioner Stephanie, can you share your?
Let's bring up those. Yes, I suggest, let's see. Where's the part? I suggested taking 3 more detailed comments out. I think it's about the consensus decision-making. I have your copy up and then I can't find the original, but
Just to jump in,
yeah.
we are struggling to get the comments to show up on Google Documents. If you go into the view link, you should be able to see the comments that were made. Is
Well-
that showing there either?
Okay, well, we can't.
It is.
We can't.
I'm
click on
seeing
your
some
s-
nods.
can't
You
click
see,
on your
you
screen.
see Commissioner Stephanie's comments?
They're in
Oh.
section D.
Okay, Update Wing was able to get the comments to come up. So they're now on the share
Oh,
screen.
perfect.
They are also in your view link in the Zoom
On the
chat.
act- I keep wanting to scroll on her screen.
Perfect. So if anyone's having
Okay, let me.
more issues, but I can see the comments from Commissioner Stephanie and from Alternate Sky as well.
Well, I'll feel better when I can see them on my own screen.
Okay. While Commissioner Stephanie
Okay, oh, thanks.
is getting those
All right.
up. Oh, you got it? Okay, perfect.
Okay, now I can actually scroll. So is on section, my comments were on section, excuse me, Commissioner Stephanie, she, her, District 3. My comments were on section 3D, I guess that's germane. And I just suggested we delete the specifics of 1, 2, and 3 as kind of operational working agreements. Generally, my rule of thumb with bylaws and what I've heard from most people is simpler is better. Don't tie yourself down to things you might need to change, which then would require a bylaw vote. So this seems like something that's part of our working agreements and not necessary to include here. So that was the gist of my suggestion.
So it's remove 1, 2, and 3 from 3C. 3D. Okay. Does anyone have any discussion or questions about that or feelings about that either way? Commissioner Jessica?
Yeah, Commissioner Jessica, she, her. I agree with Commissioner Stephanie's edits. I feel they're more procedural than bylaw, than necessary within a bylaw document. And I would agree that with the sentiment that we don't necessarily want to be tied to this for always. That it could be a way of working, but not necessarily something that needs to be included here.
Thank you. Commissioner, Coach Isa?
Yeah, I just want to say I agree with Commissioner Stephanie on that as well. I think having those three points on the bylaws is just like, again, it can lead to a lot of issues if like things change in the future.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, what I'm hearing is for number 4, remove I, section
Like
three.
3D. We're in section 3D.
Section 3D.
Okay.
1, 2, and 3. There it goes. Yes. And just making sure the sentence before, okay, and I would also remove. Commissioners, the as follows, because they wouldn't make sense, so. So the previous sentence would also have to be perfect. I will take votes on that. I'm not gonna call for a roll call, just please. Raise your Zoom hand and I'll count the Zoom hands, so we do roll calls for every single one. It will take us forever. So if you want to vote yes or stand aside, please raise your hand. And yes. Both yes. Is there anyone in the room that did not raise their hand virtually that wanted to vote yes? Okay. And all those that vote no? Lower your hands and then raise your hand if you vote no. So whatever you recorded, did you add one? An extra one? Perfect. So I saw all yeses, and no nos. Do we have enough? Perfect. So it passes. Thank you, Commissioner Stephanie. There were also some questions also in section 3 from Commissioner Sky, and I think some of those might be from alternate Sky. Should the bylaws describe the composition of the committee, number of commissioners, alternates, this who covers in terms? Is that covered in statute for us? In city code, perfect. So we don't have to include that because it's covered in city code. Generally, we wouldn't want to include anything that's covered in code because if they change the code, then would be not matching.
Where is that again?
It's another comment higher up. It's still 3, but it's high when you see general operating procedures, there are comments from alternate Sky. Should the role of alternates be described in bylaws? Is that also in city code?
It's not in there now, right?
That is not in city code.
Okay. So there is a question, but it does say quorum simple majority commissioners 50% plus 1. Commissioner Sky said, I assume they're not counted in the quorum. Is there a time when an alternate assumes a commissioner role? Should that be included here? And we did. I don't know if we ever had that discussion. I think I asked. There was a conversation about whether or not we can lift alternates up to full commissioner status if we have people that don't show up. And I think there are legal ramifications and that it's difficult to make it work.
Yeah, Elaine, I will answer this question. So the Chief Engagement Officer and the advisory bodies program as a whole wants to use alternates in the way that we promoted Commissioner Carla, in that alternates are appointed by council, and then it is the person who the body reports to, in this case, the Chief Sustainability Officer, who promotes alternates when a full commissioner needs to step away from service.
Correct. And that's also rules that are city rules, so we don't have to include those in our bylaws. But these are excellent questions to know and discuss. There was also a question here about the voting, especially the Senate side. I assume there is discussion before the vote, and the commissioner sharing concerns after vote is just documenting those concerns. The way the bylaws read feels they just vote and then describe why they stood aside. I think that's part of procedure of how you run a meeting. But does anyone have any issues with how standard side is written? It does say the commissioner will have time to freely state the concerns after the vote. In our practice, people have been saying their concerns before the vote. So we could put before/after the vote to cover both. And that would probably fix that. Cause we've just been talking about it before we even vote. So, is everyone okay with that? I saw a lot of consensus. Head nodding, yes. Does anyone have any objections to that? Seeing how the last one vote went, I think I'm just gonna do that to make things move faster. Cause if we have a lot of changes and we call up for a vote every time, it'll take a while. So seeing that pass, we could just do before and after. Another from Commissioner, from Alternate Sky, also voting, there's no abstain or recuse option listed. If there's a work, if I were a voting member and the topic came up with about hospitals, I would presumably not vote on that action. We haven't had, go ahead, Elaine, did you have something?
Yeah, Elaine on the microphone. Just to answer some of that is if you need to disclose, it is part of city policy, disclose a conflict of interest, that in meeting, you disclose the conflict of interest and you abstain from voting. So that is part of city policy.
Okay, so that's pretty part of city policy. It might be like, I know we don't have notes, kind of like the budget notes, they pass them, but we should just keep that in mind. It doesn't need to be in our bylaws, but we should probably be reminded if there's ever a situation where you think you might have a conflict of interest to raise it before the vote or just ask if you're not sure, and then we can help you with that. Thank you. And that's the last of the ones. Oh, there is a hand. Commissioner Dan.
Hi, Commissioner Dan. I'm wondering if a couple of those procedural things we could just do in the beginning of the meeting. Maybe we add like a couple, like if you have a conflict of interest, please say today, or something like that. It doesn't have to be obviously in the bylaws, but maybe it's just like a point of, one of our group agreements, essentially.
Thank you. Noted. Yeah, that might be helpful. I think that will definitely come up later when we start talking about more substantive things. Thank you. Okay. Is there anything else on section 3? Because I think I covered all the stuff that's in the document, but correct me if I'm wrong, if I missed something. I got all the stuff in here, right? Section 3, yes. Anything else for section 3? Okay. Okay, perfect. So we're gonna move on to section 4.
Conflicts of interest.
At the end, we're gonna pass everything as in a package. So if you do have problems with that section, please speak up before we move on. Okay, section 4. Were there things about section 4? Okay. Don't see the comments on section 4. Oh, Commissioner Jessica?
Yeah, just a question. We go back actually to this, unexcused absences. I didn't see a specific, is it maybe in code somewhere, like a number of absences, or is that just like a gut check?
Elaine.
This is Elaine. Yes, it is a citywide attendance policy, and it is a quarter of a meetings in a year of unexcused absences.
Great. Good question. Not seeing any other comments in section 4 in the document. But if anyone has anything else, please raise your hand before I move on. Commissioner Dana.
Is it in code where there's a definition, Commissioner Dana, is there in code where there's a definition of what a conflict of interest is? Because I think it would be helpful to be reminded of that, of like, because I think even the example that that alternate Sky used was, I didn't necessarily immediately assume that that was a conflict of interest. I think that we all bring specific experience based on our knowledge of where we work and our life, and in many ways, that is why we are here. So I think, I don't know if it's worth having a conversation about what a conflict of interest is, but I think that some clarity would be helpful.
Mhm. Yes, conflict of interests are defined. When you applied for this body, there were conflict of interest questions that we have retained. I will find the actual language and send it out in one of our weekly high fives so that we're all aware of what constitutes a conflict of interest. There are things that are like true conflict of interest, which is like if you are personally benefiting or who you work for benefits from decision makings. But then there's also things that are like good to know for awareness. So I will send that documentation out so that we know and have a shared understanding.
Thank you, Elaine. Yes, and that's a good question. It's probably good that we have access to reminders. We all took that training, but that was over a year ago now, about a year ago now, so reminders are great. Any other questions about section 4, which is removal process and excuse absences, conflicts of interest, and then other reasons and resignation process? Okay. Seeing none, I'm gonna move on to leadership, and there are comments under section 5 for leadership, and I think that one is Commissioner Stephanie. Did you want to talk to that one?
Sure, I do. There we go. Yes, I raised questions about the proposal here to have one youth co-chair and a non-youth co-chair. And Elaine suggested when I brought this up to her that I listened to the bylaw meetings. And I did listen to at least the first part before the votes where this was discussed. And I noted that there were only 4 bylaw committee members at that meeting. So it wasn't the full team, but my impression was that the idea came up and quickly became a discussion about the logistics of how you would do it, of terms, length of terms, when it would overlap. It got kind of complicated quickly. And personally feel there's a number of reasons to just stick with 2 co-chairs, keeping it simple. A similar reasoning as before, locking ourselves into something that then becomes a legal thing we need to change. But among other things, this choice, if people want to go with this, puts a certain pressure. If we have 4 youth chairs, 4 youth commissioners, the assumption is that one of them will want to lead, or what if none of them do? So puts a pressure on, I think, the rest of the voting members of the commissioners to have to select on that basis alone. You're a youth commissioner. We haven't delineated any other basis for leadership, but myself, I would prefer that it be experience and earned trust. And now we've got a year of working together. We know more about each other. So while I believe, as I said in the comment, that I love the pipeline, love our youth commissioners, but I think this isn't a requirement. And I would personally feel we would have a better opportunities, I guess, for our full commission representation with a more open vote for choosing these 2 co-chairs, rather than designating one of them in some way. Now, the other comment I would make about this, I was speaking with someone fairly high up in PSEF, and one of the first questions he asked me was, "And who are your co-chairs again?" And he immediately launched, not personally about our co-chairs, but on the incredible importance of the co-chairs of your commission, that's going to be advocating for you, a city council representing you. So that is part of what inspired these comments of how very important our co-chairs are and will be as we go on, as we come to work with them. So the turnover, the steep learning curve, there are a number of reasons why other than, affirming our commitment to our youth, this might hang us up in a lot of logistical snarls. So my amendment would be to go back to the original language that the committee was considering in February, which was just 2 co-chairs, not designating one. But I hope we'll just have time to discuss this because at the time, one of the committee members there and also one of the staff members said, isn't this sort of a big enough discussion? We should bring it to the whole commission. And it wasn't even fully discussed by the whole bylaw committee. So these are some of the concerns that I think we might want to review here before we go on with section 5.
Thank you. Commissioner Dan?
Yeah, Commissioner Dan, I was definitely one of the commissioners who was really pushing for this for a lot of reasons. I think you bring up some really good points, Commissioner Stephanie, but I still kind of want to hold to this commitment that we are building, long-term resilience by building youth leadership. Like one of the big things that's like drove me initially to kind of really support this is there's so many different avenues for adults and particularly older adults to have established pathways in decision making, neighborhood associations, advisory boards, longstanding civic relationships, professional networks, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Youth typically do not have access to, in leadership roles to those types of decision making bodies, having that direct role in decision making, and particularly with an issue like climate change, though it affects all of us, it's going to be affecting them for a lot longer than it is the rest of us. And so I believe that we should endeavor to, at the very least, offer a co-chair role to one of the youth commissioners every time. Now, I do hear, I think one point that you said that I do agree with, if they do not want to do it, I think that's okay, right? But I think offering one of the co-chair roles to one of our youth commissioners, I think should be a priority of our commission and continuing to kind of build that future of long-term leadership and resilience in our community. So that's like the 2 big kind of things that I'm thinking about with this, and I would like to keep it the way that it is at the moment.
Teresa?
Yeah, I'd like to say, I do agree with Commissioner Stephanie's opinion on this. Just because I would say because we don't have like an unlimited timeline of the work we do and stuff, I think it's important to prioritize merit and experience when choosing co-chairs, just for the sake of hitting our climate goals and stuff. I do think as long as we have reserved positions on the commission for youth, I think that's good enough representation for youth. And I think just that should be a good starting point for youth. When it comes to leadership positions, co-chair positions, I think it should be for the most experience so we can hit our goals in time.
Thank you, Commissioner Leah.
Commissioner Leah, I just wanted to say I really agreed with what Commissioner Dan was saying. I definitely hear what Commissioner Stephanie was saying about having co-chairs with expertise. And I wish there could be 3 co-chairs and maybe 1 could be a youth, but I think it's really important to have an opportunity to for a youth to be a co-chair, not for it to be mandatory. So again, if none of the youth co-chairs or none of the youth commissioners want the co-chair spot, then it doesn't have to be a youth. But I remember that one of my biggest, one of the things I struggled with before turning 18 was not being able to have any legal influence on the city or the government. And I feel like this would just be a really valuable opportunity for youth who are maybe younger than 18 or maybe who are even 18 and over to have some influence legally and in the government. So yeah, I think it's really important to offer this opportunity and to save the spot for a youth commissioner if they're interested.
Thank you, Commissioner Luna.
Commissioner Luna, she, her, District 4. I agree with what Commissioner Dan said, and what, Commissioner Leah just shared. I think, speaking from my own experience, I know that it's really easy to sort of talk yourself out of saying that you want a leadership role. And I'm concerned that if this is not included as part of our bylaws to say we have a reserved position for a youth co-chair, that it will be very unlikely that we have youth co-chairs. And so I would propose that we amend the language to say something like, the commission leadership consists of 2 co-chairs that share equal responsibilities and divide tasks collaboratively, 1 youth co-chair and 1 non-youth co-chair, unless all youth commissioners say that they don't want to be a co-chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Suze?
Hi, Commissioner Suze, I just want to share that I agree with what Commissioners Dan, Leah, and Luna have shared. It really does seem like it would be easy to, only put the commission's faith in whichever person, is perceived to have the most experience. But as we've talked about multiple times, like throughout the development of this commission, lived experiences take many different forms and are incredibly valuable. And it seems that it would be part of this commission's collectively responsibility to really value and train each member to be able to be an effective advocate, whether they are currently serving in a co-chair position or not, and everyone have that chance to be developed as leaders. So I think that part of the accessibility values that we have expressed commitment to would be best embraced by upholding the role of the youth co-chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Suze. Commissioner Stephanie?
Commissioner Stephanie, District 3. I'm really glad we're having this discussion. That's really what I hope for the most. If there is not a designated youth co-chair, it doesn't mean a youth couldn't be nominated. It's not excluding anybody from that. And I think I second what you also just said of we all need to be leaders. If we're on this commission, we're already leaders, and we are getting training every time with our briefings. And I mean, maybe more with our advocacy skills and learning about ethics. So it seems to me that just being named on this commission, whether you're co-chair or not, is already pretty strong leadership role. So I think while in principle, I understand reserving a slot, some of the comments that were brought up during the meeting were about how often would we need to have elections, and that takes up a certain amount of time. When you're staggering terms and trying to deal with two different sources of the electorate that you're working on. So at root, my plea is for simplicity, I think. And if we are committed to having a youth co-chair, we would elect one. That I believe I believe that if that commitment is there, it doesn't necessarily need to be in the bylaws. But this is why we're talking about this. And my understanding also with the bylaws is it's a legal document, correct? So that level of commitment means if we don't do something in the bylaws, somebody can challenge us on it, right? And so the more we commit to in the bylaws, the more complicated our task is. So the spillover of some of these things is for us just to really consider a 6-month turnover and how that will work on the ground.
Thank you, Commissioner Jessica.
Sorry, I'm reading Commissioner Dan's suggested at there. I was curious if anybody from bylaws could address or staff the decision to have 6 months and 1 year, because the thing that's actually giving me pause here is that we're saying equal task and responsibility, but if one person is always 6 months behind, like
Exactly.
that actually is not equal because someone else is carrying, and it's not that we can't share loads, right? But I guess I'm curious why the youth commissioner wouldn't just have a full year.
Because the youth commissioner is in the commission for a year. So if you have to be the co-chair for a year, you would have to run the day you join the commission, and then you stop being co-chair the moment you left. And not everyone feels comfortable doing that. So we thought if we had shorter terms for the youth, they could still be in place. And one of the reasons we talked about staggering, even if we had two commissioners, I think we would have wanted to stagger them, is because then you don't have two people that are
Sure.
brand new at once.
Sure.
Makes it harder. So that's why we did 6 months, because we talked about, if you're on the commission only for a year, and then you immediately, when you join the first day, have to decide if you want to be a co-chair, that's a little harder for folks. And at least that was the reasoning behind it. I also put myself in the queue. I will have to, I have to say that I do prefer having the language of a youth. I agree also of putting language in there. If no youth would like to serve, then it's okay to elect non-youth, because I don't want to force anyone to serve. Sometimes certain groups, youth being one of them, tend to not put their hands up when there's a bunch of adults that are putting their hands up first. So this whole idea of we will just elect them, sometimes youth might not even feel comfortable. And just having a space that's just for them makes it so that if they are thinking, oh, maybe I could do this, they're more willing to go for it than being like, oh, a bunch of adults want to do this job, I don't have to go for it. And I will say, I've served on other commissions, and we had co-chairs on GTAC, but planning commission has a chair. Other commissions only have one chair. There's no requirement for us to have two. So the idea that it has to be two adults or two of the people we elect, that's not even a requirement. A lot of commissions only have one. So we already will have two. And I think especially around this topic, the voice of youth is so important that when we talk about advocacy, I think advocacy from our youth is just as strong, if not stronger, than all the experience sitting around the table from adults, because this impacts youth so much that I want them at the table, not just at this table, but at the table when we're presenting at council. And I want that role personally to be very clear that we want a youth in that leadership role. That's just my own thought, but I totally agree with if no youth commissioner would want that position, an adult can run for it. I say we still keep it 6 months for simplicity, then that adult's choosing to run for a shorter term. And then 6 months later, if a youth wants it, then the youth can take that position. That would be my thought. Okay. So there have been two things brought up. We can go back to either just say two co-chairs and not mention youth or non-youth, or we could keep it how it is and just add a line unless no youth commissioner would like the position of a co-chair. Knowing that there's two options, I'm gonna vote on both. Vote yes on the one you want and no on the one you don't want. Okay, it's not like budget where we could change later. So first, we're gonna vote for taking youth out of it, just two co-chairs. Because if that passes, we don't need to vote on the second. If it doesn't pass, then we'll go to the next one and see if we want to add that line. So if you want to vote yes on making it just back to two co-chairs, please raise your hand. I'm gonna count down for 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lane, do you have the yeses for this one? Yes. Any stand asides? Okay, counting down from 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, and the no's, please raise your hand. Adam? Thank you, and I do believe that failed. So now moving on to the next one. Which oh, there we go. There's language in the Commissioner Nora put in. Oh, Commissioner Dan, do you have a question?
I do. Yeah, Commissioner Dan. I was just gonna say I agree with what Commissioner Nora's amendment to my language. So I would be totally fine voting on that.
Perfect, thank you. So let's vote on Commissioner Nora's language, which I think is just a nicer written one.
Is that what's in green? Oh, no.
It's in the chat. If no youth commissioner self-nominates or is willing to serve as co-chair, the commission may appoint two non-youth commissioners to serve as co-chairs. Or I would say, and we'll make it work, but with the 6-month thing, if we want to keep that, we should just say the second one is elected to 6 months term. So so all the yeses to the second option, and then we'll wordsmith it later because we know the intent. It's on video. So anyone who's voting yes on this, please raise your hand. You. Oh, got it, perfect. Lower your hands, please. Any stand asides? Thank you. Any no's? Okay, motion passes. Thank you, everyone. Okay, is there anything else in section 5 that we need to discuss? We're a little bit over in this section, 4 minutes over. Nope, okay. Moving on to the next section. Section 6, committees. I saw no comments. Were there any questions or comments in the committee section? Okay. I see none, so move on to section 7, communications. Any comments on communications? Okay, seeing none. Section 8, amendment of bylaws. Anything on amendment of bylaws? Okay, seeing none, that's the end of the bylaws, so I will now entertain a motion to accept the bylaws as amended today. If anyone would like to make that motion. Commissioner Dan?
Yes, I would like to move that motion forward.
Okay, Commissioner Dan moves the bylaws to be approved as amended. Any second? Commissioner Dana?
A second?
Thank you. So moved by Commissioner Dan, second by Commissioner Dana. Now, this one I will do a roll call vote because this is the whole bylaws. Commissioner Lena,
Yes.
Commissioner Angus absent, Commissioner Celeste,
Yes.
Commissioner Carla,
Yes.
Commissioner Charity absent, Commissioner Damon's absent, Commissioner Dan,
Yes.
Commissioner Dana,
Yes.
Commissioner Galen's absent. Commissioner Greg,
Yes.
Commissioner Jessica,
Yes.
Commissioner Leah,
Yes.
Commissioner Luna,
Yes.
Commissioner Meyer is absent, Commissioner Nora,
Yes.
Commissioner Stephanie,
Yes.
Commissioner Suze,
Yes.
Commissioner Vivek's absent, Co-Chair Issa,
Yes.
and I also vote yes. So seeing that everyone present voted yes, I will not go for any further vote and the bylaws passes. Thank you, everyone. And we only went 6 minutes over for this section, it was actually really good. So, so
Because
it's
nobody-
time for a break. Break and we'll be back at 7:15. Thank you.
Yeah.
Everybody back,
Okay.
come back, please. Oh, why am I yelling? Issa should be yelling at you.
June 13th. Yeah, I still have that. No, but I'm going.
You can walk.
I've been doing like senior,
Okay.
so it's like a month.
Okay, let's come back together after the break.
Congratulations.
So, welcome back from the break. Next slide. Also, for the record, this is Co-Chair Issa. Yes, so now we're gonna be looking at the Policy and Implementation Committee Charter. Next slide. Yes, so the Policy Implementation Committee recently made minor amendments to the committee charter. And the agenda item outcome is, so the outcome for our agenda item today is to adopt the new committee charter based on those amendments. Wayne, can you please share your screen of the all up? And Elaine, can you please share the view link in the Zoom chat? Thank you. Okay, so just for a quick overview of the amendments that were made. So firstly, starting with the purpose at the beginning of the charter, the committee added the purpose statement, just because not every priority is a policy. For membership, the committee changed the youth commissioner language to fulfill intent, which is to encourage youth participation, but not to limit it or require it. For committee activities, the committee changed instances of climate energy work plan, a climate emergency work plan to be more general to the more general climate action plan. And this ensures the committee doesn't need to amend the charter again with the next climate action plan. So do we have any discussion or questions around these amendments before we vote to adopt them? Commissioner Stephanie?
Commissioner Stephanie, District 3, she, her pronouns. Well, I'm interested to see how the language shifted from really honoring and requiring a youth role on this committee. So the logic is the opposite of what we just concluded. So if we were going to be consistent with what we just voted on, we might keep the original language. I'm not saying that's better, but I think it's more flexible the way it is now, but I'm all for flexibility. Just pointing that out.
And I can speak to that. The reason we wanted to go more flexible with the is actually because we have constraints based on staffing and resources that our committees have to happen during the day. So a lot of youth commissioners can't be part of the committee. And we wish we didn't have those limitations, but that's just what is happening right now. So we didn't want to always be going against our charter because of that. Because I agree with you. If we had all the resources, we'd keep it the other way.
Are there any other questions? Then, if there's no other questions, I think we can move to adopt this charter. I can take the attendance. Commissioner Alina,
Yes.
Commissioner Angus is absent, correct? Commissioner Celeste,
Yes.
Commissioner Carla,
Yes.
Commissioner Charity. Okay. Is Commissioner Damon absent as well? Commissioner Dan,
Yes.
Commissioner Dana,
Yes.
Commissioner Galen, Commissioner Greg,
Yes.
Commissioner Jessica,
Yes.
Commissioner Leah,
Yes.
Commissioner Luna,
Yes.
Commissioner Maya, absent. Okay. Commissioner Nora,
Yes.
Commissioner Stephanie,
Yes.
Commissioner Suze,
Yes.
and Commissioner Vivek is absent. Co-chair Jose,
Yes.
and I vote yes as well. Okay. All right, then we're adopting the amendments to the charter. Now I'd like to hand it over to Co-chair Jose.
Thank you. And now we'll have a celebration of the service of our youth commissioners and say farewell to them. Unfortunately, I already stated earlier that I did not want them to leave, but apparently they have to go off to college. So, so we'll do that. We'll say goodbye to them now. Slide, please. And I'll pass that over to CSO Vivian.
Great. Thank you so much, Co-Chair Jose. Thank you so much, Co-Chair Issa. And next slide, please. And next slide, please. So these will be some familiar faces to you all. This is our first cohort. Do you think you all look different? This is your first. A lot can happen in a year. This is a very special cohort. You're our first inaugural youth cohort. Just a few observations and short words from me. This first youth cohort, you all really focused in on operations, helping get the Sustainability and Climate Commission up and running. You focused on governance, conversations like the one we just participated in setting our bylaws, setting our charters, the voice and perspective that you have. I hope that you're seeing how that's setting the foundation for success for the Sustainability and Climate Commission and for future youth commissioners going forward. That is really difficult, hard work. Many people, regardless of age, don't have a great tolerance for doing that foundational work, but it's truly important because it's gonna make sure that we have operational clarity on where we're going, and folks will continue to go back to that conversation. What are the first people who designed this charter? What were the conversations that they had? And so the people who are here in this room who will continue their service, it's truly up to you to carry the intentions, the voices, and the conversations that you've been participating in alongside this first cohort of youth commissioners through. You also developed the youth framework for the next climate action plan. Y'all, that is huge. That is very momentous. So thank you so much for offering your voices and perspective to shape the next climate action plan. And that was also used to recruit our incoming youth cohort and will be used as a springboard for further development of the framework and further refinement. So again, all this foundational work, I really applaud you for leaning in, for having some tough conversations, for having the perseverance and the stamina for doing this work. Thank you so much. And I think from here, we're going to go ahead and offer a bit of acknowledgement to each one of you in your own contributions. And each one of you also submitted, thanks to the leadership of Co-Chair Issa, so the suggestion to put together a slide for each one of you to kind of offer an opportunity to share a bit about your experience. So this is going to feel a little bit awkward, but it's graduation season, y'all. So it's something I think that we can all get to experience. I'm going to say a few words about each one of you, and then you can offer a few comments in your reflection. So Co-Chair Issa, I'm going to go ahead and start with you. You are our first co-chair, first youth co-chair of the Sustainability and Climate Commission. So thank you for all your grace, all your leadership, for being able to lean in and to offer your perspective. And I've really appreciated the strength of your voice and perspective. You are a very determined person and you stand really strong in your opinions. And I admire that very, very much. And it's helped, I think, offer a strong co-chair model for future youth commissioners to think about how they can embody this sort of leadership style and how to share that alongside another co-chair, whether they're an adult co-chair or a fellow youth commissioner. You bring both pragmatism and innovation. I think I heard you say innovation almost every single time that we have met. And so I can see that future facing, how do you want to develop? I can see that that inspiration that you bring to these conversations each and every time. You've also institutionalized meaningful youth involvement and leadership into the commission. So thank you for all your contributions. I'm going to go ahead and present to you a certificate of service. And we also, we have a very modest budget, but we have some trinkets as a demonstration of appreciation. Hopefully you'll always remember the contributions that you have to the city of Portland and how, even though we are just a wee little city in the world, we have a very outsized impact on our climate sustainability leadership, and now especially thanks to you. And there's some seeds that you can plant wherever you go. So thank you so much. You want to share a bit about your slide?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So my future plans, I'm planning to attend Princeton next year, and I'm planning to study public international affairs and hopefully, minor environmental studies and hopefully go into law school. I really hope to pursue environmental policy and just make policies that help this country when it comes to the climate. Firstly, I want to give my biggest thanks to the commission for all the experiences that it has given me, all the people I've met here. Being here has really taught me to grow as a leader, and it's taught me the importance of taking action through like small details, even like small things, just attending meetings. Everything has an impact in one way or another, and so being here has taught me that especially. And I hope to take what I've learned here to impact every community enter the future, every space, every college, every workplace. I want to remember that the small details matter in the impact they make. And yeah, the main lesson I've learned is to find joy and fulfillment in the positive contributions like you've made and can make, regardless of the outcome. Even if like something doesn't go as planned, what matters is that you tried, and that gives motivation to do more in the future.
Next slide, please. Commissioner Luna, I'm going to talk about you next. So Commissioner Luna, thank you so much for serving in this first cohort of the Sustainability and Climate Commission. You're such a dynamic and analytical thinker. I'm so looking forward to how you apply some of these innate skills that you've applied here at the Sustainability and Climate Commission to your future studies and to whatever future communities you find yourself in. Because you have a very fascinating brain that is analytical, understands systems level thinking, and you also have an appreciation for the details. And that's why your contributions, especially the deep work that you did on the bylaws committee, is something I'm especially grateful for, and that has contributed to the success of today's meeting, especially in the way that you showed up in that space. So not only seeing the big systems, but also really honing in on those details. Those are incredible skills that you brought to the Sustainability and Climate Commission. And on top of that, I can appreciate that you're actually a quite busy person. And so given that limited time and bandwidth, the way that you've, found your voice here and actually haven't actually hesitated to express that has been a privilege to watch. And so thank you so much for your contributions in your leadership here on the Sustainability and Climate Commission. I'm gonna find my way to you. And I'll go ahead and give it to you to share a few words if you wish.
I really just want to say thank you to all of you. This commission wouldn't be what it is without all of you. It's been so inspiring to get to hear about your experiences, your jobs, everything that you've learned, all your wisdom, and really just be able to see myself in the future and think like, wow, I want to be like them someday. So thank you all so much also for making this a really welcoming space that we all could come and share our voices and really feel that we're heard. I would say my words of wisdom, especially in regards to working with youth, are listen to understand. Often this norm of like listen to understand and not to respond comes to mind, and just thinking about like you bring a lot of valuable experience, but so do youth. And it's really important for youth to feel heard and feel that you actually understand us as opposed to just hearing what we're saying. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Luna. Next slide, please. Commissioner Leah, this is a very dynamic slide. I like that format that you used. Commissioner Leah, thank you so much for being a part of the first inaugural cohort, youth cohort of the Sustainability and Climate Commission. Your contributions, clearly you're a deep and critical thinker. And so one of the things that I've observed you do and that your colleagues have observed you do is that you act when it's most important. And those words and those contributions bring impact and resonate with many of your other commissioners. So thank you for offering your thoughts, for offering the contributions and offering that impact. And I look forward to, future contributions that you have in the communities that you find yourself in. And I'm, selfishly glad that you're staying within the state of Oregon because, this is a state that clearly needs folks who are deeply thinking and constantly observing and then knowing when to offer their thoughts. And you've also been grounded in the history and legacy effects of past decisions and actions. And so I'm curious to see, how that reflection is going to bring you into future work and perhaps future spaces, and recognizing that history does have a tendency to repeat itself. So thank you so much. So if you'd like to offer a few words, this is your opportunity.
Okay, I want to echo what Commissioner Luna and Commissioner Issa said about being thankful to all of you for making this a welcoming place and for being such inspiring people to be around. I think I get to see a lot of passionate youth when I'm like doing my climate work outside of this commission. And so it's just really great to see passionate adults too, who show up, even though you're busy, even though you have your lives. And yeah, it just makes me really happy to see that. I've grown a lot since joining the commission. I used to be like too nervous to even use the mic because I was like, oh no, what if I mess up my commission or my district number or something like that. So yeah, I'm so glad I had the opportunity to be on this commission. I'm going to Oregon State next year to study biochemistry and environmental law and policy. My favorite memory was the youth summit and talking to people, especially when we had the simulated disaster and everyone was kind of panicked and we got to see each other's true selves a bit more. And then just leaving the commission, I'm so excited to see what the next years hold for the commission. I'm definitely coming back to sit in on a meeting, and I'm sure you all know this because you're on the commission, but please don't give up hope. I know it's a really hard, difficult time to be doing this work, especially with everything that's going on at the federal level, and just don't give up hope. Keep bringing all the energy you're bringing. It's inspiring a lot of people.
Wow. Commissioner Leah, we're all very grateful that you found your confidence on the microphone.
Yes.
Thank you for those remarks. Next slide, please. Alternate Holland, this is my opportunity to acknowledge you and your contributions to this space. A lot of the work that you contributed to the Sustainability and Climate Commission may not actually have been seen in this space because you were deeply committed to the Portland State University governance program that we offered for youth commissioners. It's very clear to your colleagues and through that course and to your PSU mentors that you have a passion in education and learning. And so the amount of effort and contributions that you made in that space, I hope really carry you through to all your future pursuits, whether they're involved with climate sustainability issues or not. Because it's clear that we need more folks who are fired up by the experience of learning, and because that sort of excitement is contagious. That's sort of wildfire that we do want is through that. You also volunteered your own time to continue to improve that program at Portland State University. So while that was a pilot program and it's something that I hope that we can continue to pursue, it's really clear that you have a dedication to that. And I look forward to hearing about how your pursuits in the future will continue to spread and grow with that, and perhaps even at Portland State or another educational institution. So thank you so much for being a part of this first inaugural cohort, and also for being one of our first alternates in this space. Give you some space to go ahead and offer a few comments if you wish.
Yeah, no, just echoing everyone else. Thank you guys so much for the past year. I've met some pretty incredible people on this commission and got some pretty incredible advice, especially just in terms of college and, future planning. I'll be attending the University of Michigan next year, studying secondary education. Hopefully, as of right now, going to be an environmental studies teacher. So we'll see, but that's what I'm looking forward to. Again, thank you so much. Echoing what everyone else has said again. This has been a really welcoming space. I was a little nervous coming into a room full of very experienced people, but you guys made me feel at home here. So thank you.
Thank you so much for that, alternate Holland. See, I knew there was going to be an educational through line there. Quite clear. So y'all, this was, I want to recognize Commissioner Celeste, who's joining us today online, who is being reappointed to another year on the Sustainability and Climate Commission. I've also been able to see Commissioner Celeste in a number of other spaces, so I can, we all know that how dedicated Commissioner Celeste is as a public servant, not only serving here on this commission, but I don't know if you're all aware that Celeste also serves on the Multnomah Youth Commission, which is the official youth policy body for the city of Portland and Multnomah County. So those are really incredible leadership opportunities and incredible responsibilities for someone who is clearly a fierce transportation advocate who's grounded in her lived experience and community here in Portland. So I look forward to continued time working with Commissioner Celeste on the commission. And I do see her as that conduit and consistency between our first inaugural cohort and the experiences that you all had here in this space and our next youth cohort. So let's give a little acknowledgement for Commissioner Celeste. So overall, I just want to say I'm so proud and more just thankful for your contributions. Thank you. I think that we all came into this space not quite knowing how it was going to play out, how we were going to work through some of the inevitable what ifs or challenges of how to create something that's new together. So thanks for having the audacity and also the trust to step into this space and to work through it. That's kind of a through line that I'll give to you, youth commissioners, but also to all of you who've been a part of this first inaugural cohort. I really want to appreciate the dedication, the trust that you have, the willingness to do something new and different and to do it together. That's the most important thing, is to doing it together. I think that it's instilled in all of us hope for the future and the future of the city of Portland, and what we can do as a leadership team, and also setting a high bar for the youth designated seats and the type of impact that these dedicated youth seats can have on a commission. As I mentioned before, I have the privilege of stewarding this body alongside Elaine, and we both share a clear dedication to youth leadership. So thank you for allowing us to work alongside all of you in doing that as well. So I hope that whether you're staying close or going to someplace far, you might get cold in Michigan. I'm a Midwesterner, so I know, so you're probably gonna wanna come back here. Please drop by and see us and see the legacy effect of your work.
And before I give it to Co-Chair Isa, close it out, I did want to say one thing. I've worked in a lot of these spaces as co-chair. I was in both committees, here all the time. And beside the fact that you guys have much better skin than we do, you wouldn't know that you were youth commissioners. That's the biggest compliment I can give, because you were in these spaces contributing just as much, equally, just as good. Your insights were the same as everyone. If the public probably doesn't know you're youth commissioners, except for the fact that we call you that. So thank you. like I said before, I'm sad to see you go, but I'm excited to see everything that you do.
Coach Teresa. Oh, next slide. So lastly for this meeting, we're just gonna look over just remind you to fill out the commissioner feedback form. Next slide. Yes, so please make sure to fill out the meeting form when you find time, and Elaine will send it in the Zoom chat right now. Again, we go through this feedback and make changes and decisions based on what you tell us in the form. Next slide. So the next regular meeting is June 18th, and as we voted, it will be extended by an extra 30 minutes, so from 5 to 8:30 p.m. The next cohort of youth members will begin their council proceedings at 6 to 8:30 p.m. My mistake. The next cohort of youth members will bring their council proceedings at the committee of the whole on May 28th. And so, yeah, this is my last meeting to close. So, thank you guys so much for everything. I'm gonna miss being here. And also, thank you so much to Coach Jose, Elaine, and Vivian for working with me. And yeah, thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.